This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
I got to ask a question. How many of you, and you don't have to admit it publicly if you're not that kind of person that likes to admit it publicly, has had to go shopping secondhand for clothing? Not saying exclusively you done the Goodwill or the Salvation Army, right? I think thrifting's a little bit different than what I'm talking about, but it's related. It's definitely related to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how many y'all go to JCPenney's? Y'all head straight to the back. Y'all go to Macy's? Y'all head straight to the back. Y'all go, you go to Macy's and you go all the way to the bottom floor where they got the blue and all that shit, right? You go to Marshall's and you go straight to the back, right? Clearance rack shopping, discount shopping, having to, go and thrift and see if you can get a quality item from the thrift store. We've all been there. I think most of us have been there. If recent census data when it comes to income in the United States is anything to go by, seems like a lot of us have been there. Ain't no shame in it. Ain't no shame. My dad used to take me to Value City, and we was still looking at the clearance rack at Value City. And that wasn't because exclusively, was it? Let me be clear here. That was not exclusively because we were broke. My dad's just cheap. Okay. But in all seriousness, I know what that feels like. Most of y'all know what that feels like. I need us to contextualize that is where we're shopping for quarterback right now. Understand that every option, whether it be Shador, whether it be Dylan Gabriel, whether it be Marcus Mariota, trading for one name, we don't have the premium options available to us at quarterback. There is one premium quarterback being imported into the NFL this year. It's Fernando Mendoza. He's going to go number 1 overall. Everybody else is discount shopping, right? Do you want a quarterback from 2004 that used to be the shit, but now he's 44 years old? Well, you get you an Aaron Rodgers in 2026, right? Do you want a quarterback who was dope in 2012, but nobody really likes anymore? Get you a Russell Wilson in 2026. You know what I mean? Do you want a quarterback that was good a couple years ago, but man, boy, was this last year concerning? Here's that 2026 Geno Smith fresh off the clearance rack. That is where we are. It's not shade. It's not disrespect. It's just reality. We broke. Theoretically speaking, from a football sense, the Cleveland Browns are broke. Not because they don't have money to do things at the quarterback, but because they ain't got it. You know what I mean? They ain't got it. They got to pay off Deshaun Watson. They got $46 million already paid to that. They can do some things around the edges at offensive line. They got some money in the cap space. They're going to have some cash to spend. But none of that shit is really what they could do at quarterback. And the options available are also not really that great, right? There's no perfect option at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. All of these options are secondhand, have something wrong with them. Every single one of them has something wrong with them. That's why they are options available to us. So what we're going to discuss today are the secondhand options available on teams that have not officially gotten rid of these quarterbacks, but will likely get rid of these quarterbacks, and talk about what it might take to get them and when those quarterbacks might be available and if the Browns should go after them. But before I do that, got to thank my sponsor, Sleeper.
Hey, have you heard of the Sleeper app? It is a place where you can go to play fantasy football. It's also a place you can go to do picks. You can put your knowledge on the line, make some picks, and see who knows ball the most, and maybe even, be rewarded for your knowledge. Go on the Sleeper app. Make sure you sign up using the promo code WORSTTAKE, and you'll get a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code WORSTTAKE. Make sure you check out the Sleeper app.
There are two quarterbacks that pop up in this conversation, and they're usually tied to each other because their situations are a little similar. I think they're different in some significant ways, but they're a little similar. Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray. Both young quarterbacks who got paid, both young quarterbacks who it seems like those teams have buyer remorse on those deals and don't want to move forward with anymore. So that begs obvious questions like, hey, what is the cap reality for these teams in getting rid of these guys who carry such high contractual value? For the Miami Dolphins and Tua, the reality is they're just going to have to eat it. I know that they're trying to trade Tua right now. The best bet for them to trade Tua is in some kind of negative equity situation. Here's what I mean by a negative equity situation. You remember when the Broncos, back in 2016, I believe it was, or 2017, they wanted to get rid of Brock Osweiler's contract, so they traded him here to Cleveland. But Cleveland didn't really want Brock Osweiler's contract. So in order to get Cleveland to accept the trade, they attached a second-round pick to him. You can also think of another negative equity situation where the Rams want to get rid of Jared Goff's contract. And in order to get rid of Jared Goff's contract, they had to send Jared Goff and a pick in exchange for Matthew Stafford, right? So they wanted Matthew Stafford. They wanted to get rid of Jared Goff's contract. Instead of it being a one-to-one swap, because Jared Goff's contract was seen as a negative, they had to attach a pick to make the swap, and then the swap was then made. So that's what I mean by a negative equity situation. Like if the Browns wanted to trade Deshaun Watson, it's very unlikely, but it would have to involve the Browns like giving a team a first-round pick in order to inherit the rest of that contract, which is why it's not going to happen, right? So that's the kind of trade situation Miami is with Tua. The idea that they get anything net positive from trading Tua is ridiculous at this point. I mean, they benched him for, what is it, like a 6th-round rookie last year? They don't believe in him as an organization. Even if they do trade him, they're only going to save like $11 million in cap space if they do it before the draft. After the draft, where like you would probably have to give up a first to get rid of Tua, we're talking about maybe like what, $20-30 million that you're saving, which would be more worth it. But then you're getting that money post June 1st. So it's after all the free agents are gone. There would just be no reason to make a move and trade him. The reality is that the Miami Dolphins, if they don't want Tua, are going to have to cut Tua. And that means eating like $42 million in cap space if they want to do it June 1st. If they want to do post June 1st, that means eating, what, $11 million in cap space? So they'll probably do it post June 1st if they do it at all. Or you just keep Tua and maybe you get them to restructure. How much can they save? They could save $30 million from him restructuring, kick it down the line, and then release him when he has no guaranteed money left in his deal. And, when is that in Tua's contract? I'm trying to look it up right now. But yeah, he doesn't have guaranteed money. Well, he has guaranteed money until 2027. So you can cut him in 2027, right? Yeah, you can cut him in 2027 and move on then. Yeah, that's when you could move on. And then it would be a $26 million dead cap, but it would be fine. You can eat that. So that's really the Miami Dolphins options with Tua. They're in the Deshaun Watson zone of it all, except for the contract's a little bit more cuttable than Deshaun Watson because you can post June 1st him this year and only lose about $8 million in cap space. Very fascinated to see what the Dolphins do here. But yeah, I think the fact that this Tua thing's going to be more complicated muddies the waters in terms of. I am very fascinated to see what the Dolphins do with Tua here because they're kind of backed into a corner. But if we're talking about the Browns potentially acquiring Tua, I don't know if that one's going to happen. The reason I don't know if that one's going to happen is, one, the previously stated complexity of this Tua situation could mean that Tua is not available until well after they need Tua to be available. I don't see the Browns trading for Tua because, again, it's a negative equity situation. So the team that's going to trade for Tua is probably a team that has a lot of cap space that can absorb Tua, and then they're probably going to cut him post June 1st, right? So, or they're going to keep him on the roster for a year, roll it over, restructure, and then cut him after that. So the Browns don't have the cap space to make those kind of moves right now for Tua. So I just don't think this is a possibility. Also, when you think about what Todd Monken likes to do and what Tua does, I don't really see there being a lot of connective tissue there. Kyler Murray is the much more intriguing option for Cleveland. He has a skill set that Todd Monken likes. This is somebody who can be a threat running the ball, who could be a threat scrambling, who could be a threat on the run, who does fit what Todd wants to do. Also, if you're Kyler Murray, you can look at the Browns as an interesting situation. The Browns have a good defense. If they have better quarterback play, they could win games like right away. And if you're if you're Kyler Murray, you would have to think that you're good enough to provide that quality of play at the quarterback position to improve the Cleveland Browns standing. You look at Todd Monken's background and his work with quarterbacks that are similar to you and Stetson Bennett at the college level and then Lamar Jackson at the NFL level, and you say to yourself, he elevated those guys. He might be able to get my play where it needs to be. You can draw the line of like why this would be an attractive situation for Kyler Murray as much as it would be an attractive situation for the Cleveland Browns. The big part here is how exactly do the Cardinals handle this? Because no, they're not as tied as the Miami Dolphins. Like, they're not as screwed as the Miami Dolphins. I don't think anybody's trading for Kyler because it's a $40 million hit if you trade for him, right? And I don't think the Browns are going to have that. I don't think anybody who's willing to start Kyler is going to have that at this point of his career. So you're probably talking about cutting him. Now, you can cut Tua right now. Not Tua. I keep confusing the two. You can cut Kyler right now, and it would only cost you $2 million of cap space. You can post June 1st designate him and save about $5 million in cap space, which it's probably the direction they go. Again, they're going to hold out for a trade. If they don't get a trade, they'll post June 1st him, and then they'll cut him. That's the one thing that makes me wonder if the Browns are going to ultimately be interested, is the timeline for him is going to be similar to Tua a little bit later. You're going to have to do this after the draft. And are the Browns going to be willing to wait till after the draft? Whereas a team like Minnesota, who has a similar argument they can make to Kyler Murray about the effectiveness of signing with them, they probably are more in a position to be able to wait for all those hurdles to be cleared for him to become available without having to trade for that contract. So I think Kyler could happen. I think it makes a little sense here. I think the big issue is that the timing of it might not be perfect for the Browns. The next guy is Geno Smith, who the Raiders could cut and save $8 million today if they cut him. And this is likely to happen. I think they'll just release Geno Smith. It won't really be a big thing. He'll be available at the start of free agency. And depending on how you view it, I do think Geno's probably the safest option, or at least he feels like the safest option. He's had success in offenses similar to what Todd Monken wants to do. He is somebody who's a threat scrambling, but not necessarily as a runner. Also, he is an experienced enough quarterback that you expect him, given a decent situation, to put up decent numbers. I understand he struggled last year, but we all saw what Geno did with the Seattle Seahawks. We think that could be replicated if you give him a good enough situation to be with. And like he has a better on-field track record than some of the other names that you could go after, like a Justin Fields or an Anthony Richardson or who else will I throw in there? A Marcus Mariota, right? Like those names haven't really achieved what he has on the football field. I think this is a perfect fallback option if you want to do something more risky, or if you're the Browns and you're afraid of getting fired. If you're Andrew Berry and you're afraid of getting fired, going after Geno Smith is, I think, the easiest way to put a floor on the team. I don't think you'll be worse than 7 wins with Geno Smith in this roster. That being said, like Geno Smith's play was really bad last year, and that team does have the number 1 overall pick, and that is why he's available. So I don't know how much trust I would have in that floor, but given this defense, given what the Browns can build and spend towards on offense, I think the floor would probably be 7 wins with Geno here in Cleveland, but it's not guaranteed. So there's that. Justin Fields is another one who would have to be a post-June 1st cut. Nobody's going to take that $20 million on for Justin Fields to play this year, so we're probably talking about a post-June 1st cut, which you can sign him if he's post-June 1st designated before the draft. He just has to have that designation. And then probably, $8 million APY for 2026. Give him a standard backup quarterback contract with some accelerators in there. And you can have Justin Fields. I think this is a fine competition option. Like if you're not really interested in somebody taking over as the full-time starter, but you're more interested in somebody coming in as a competition guy for Shedeur, like if you're higher on Shedeur than I am, then maybe Justin's who you want to push him. Anthony Richardson would also be in a similar vein, but I think you would probably have to start Anthony Richardson just because you would have to trade a day 3 pick for him. And he's a former top 5 pick, so you probably give him the lean there. He would only cost you about $5.3 million in salary. He's intriguing. I got to watch more film on him to know how I truly feel about his NFL career, but he's intriguing. And those are your cap casualty quarterback conversations that you can have here. I don't know where I would lean on any of these names, if I'm being honest with you. Here's what I do know. We are bargain bin shopping if you're the Cleveland Browns. And what bargain bin shopping means is not just that you're looking for the lowest price. It's that you're shopping with a budget in mind, and you're shopping with limitations in mind, more importantly. Nobody that the Browns can sign this offseason or the Browns can announce as the start of this offseason is going to make you feel 100% good about the Browns quarterback situation. There's flaws with every name that they can get after. Kyler Murray comes with a ton of flaws. Tua Tagovailoa comes with a million flaws. Geno Smith comes with a bunch of flaws. Same thing with Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson. Go down the list, name a guy, they're all going to come with flaws. We're shopping in the imperfect section at the quarterback position. So the question for me is less who do I think will be the best or safest option, and really it's more about in what way this year are you okay with potentially failing at the quarterback position? Here's what I mean when I say that, right? Are you okay wasting money this year because you wanted to see if Kyler Murray would work? Are you more okay with saving some time because you gave Geno Smith a run and you saved some money, right? What's more important that you end up wasting here potentially? Not saying that any name you sign here would be a waste of money or a waste of time, but when you're shopping in this section at quarterback, the reality is that it's more likely than not that it doesn't work out. So you got to be okay with how you're going to fail if you go after somebody as a quarterback, right? You can't put all your eggs in any of these baskets because they're not firm enough to put your eggs in. So you got to just ask yourself, okay, what am I okay with? Do I feel more comfortable going after somebody who's older but more experienced that I think can still play but I don't have to break the bank for? Or do I want to spend about $20 million for a younger guy who I think could answer the question at quarterback for a couple of years? Or do I want to just take a risk with somebody like an Anthony Richardson who might stink, might not even start, but if he does work out, could solve the problem entirely? How are you okay with succeeding, and how are you? What are you okay with succeeding with is one question, but that's not the most probable question here. That's not the most probable outcome, my bad. The most probable outcome is failure, so you got to control for that, and I'm saying, what are you most okay failing with here at the quarterback position? If you're going to bargain bin shop, you got to ask yourself that question, right? Any of us who have shopped in that clearance section at Marshall's, at TJ Maxx, we have all done this math where it's like, hey, if I'm going to get a shirt and something's wrong with it, I'd rather something be wrong with it in this direction versus this direction. Do you want a shirt that's going to be way too big or way too small? Because it's possible, very possible, that shirt's not going to fit just right. So same math applies here with the quarterback situation. But that's going to do it for the secondhand quarterback shopping edition of Free Agency Talk. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.